Speaking of the Big 12, is anybody hotter on the trail than Arizona State? Richie Bradshaw of Locked On Sun Devils does not think so. And we have mentioned this before here on the show, Richie, and it bears mentioning again because Arizona State, 3-9 2 years ago, Arizona State, 4 cycles ago, 105th ranked recruiting class or whatever it was, that Arizona State just got a receiver to commit over the likes of Florida and Nebraska. How hard is Kenny Dillingham cooking with everybody else in the kitchen right now?
I mean, if we think that Arizona summers are about to get crazy with like the 110 plus degree weather, then Kenny Dillingham is only going to make it that much hotter around the area because of how much heat is coming out of Tempe, Arizona right now, Spencer.
Oh, man. Could you have laid that out any more perfectly? Any more perfectly? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Here's the best part. Right off the noggin.
Oh, right off the that's noggin. Even better. Wasn't planned ahead of time, folks. This is not our fifth take. It's definitely not. No, it's actually not this time. But I look at what Arizona State can be, Richie, and I have for a long time thought there's untapped potential. And this, like Texas Tech, who I talked about earlier on today's show, it's not an arrival to being a power in, the championship sense or in the recruiting sense. It is, however, what the first steps look like. You could reflect 3 years from now and say, remember that 2026 cycle after the Big 12 championship? That's where this all got started. And that's just how I feel about Arizona State, who, despite a decommitment, Richie, has the 13th best class in the country at the moment. I know. We're not even to May. May is literally 2 days away. But we're not even to May yet. This is still just such a good foundation for the class. And I think the goal for Kenny Dillingham and his staff here, pull a top 20 class. I think that makes some real noise.
Yep. And right now from 24/7, they are 13th in the country. The entire nation, they are the 13th ranked recruiting class. For the people who love going all across the place for your different recruiting platforms, maybe your 24/7, Rivals, ESPN, On3, whichever one you like. If you want to cherry pick the 4 stars from there, like what I did earlier today, ASU has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 4 stars across your different websites at quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, edge, corner. That's pretty much your most important positions across the board, and especially positions that ASU is putting an emphasis on under the Kenny Dillingham era, and they are absolutely killing it with recruiting. And guess what? We're not done, because this weekend, we just came off a big weekend. Got another big weekend coming up. A lot of kids that are very interested in Arizona State, and there's another chance that ASU can pull a couple more recruits by the time that we are sitting here next Monday and taking a look again. This is cooking with gas as the kindest way that you can put it. It's crazy right now.
Yeah, let me give you a list of schools who Arizona State currently will have to be caught by in the recruiting rankings for the 2026 cycle. Oregon, Florida State, Washington, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, BYU, Wisconsin, Michigan, just to name a few.
Now, I stopped listening after Oregon. Just because of you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I am, after all, Spencer McLaughlin, neutral arbiter of all things college football. So I don't know why you'd pick Oregon in particular, but that's okay. Maybe just because I'm from there or something. Anyway, bringing this back to the Sun Devils, how do they keep it going before we get to the guys that they actually just got committed and what they mean for the program going forward? But what do the next steps need to look like? Do you think there needs to be a commitment for Arizona State within the next couple of weeks with the number of guys they've had rolling through campus?
See, I think that you're going to want to continue adding the guys that are maybe not so much expected to commit to ASU right off the bat, but are heavily considering ASU. Like you go to 24/7, you see that warm label next to the guys. They're heavily considering Arizona State. You find a way to land those kids, and it's just going to keep making the recruiting class better and better from a numbers standpoint. But there's a lot of 4-star kids left. And something I wanted to touch on that you had mentioned, ASU just had a decommit from who was their highest rated recruit in the class with 4-star Israel Briggs. He was a tight end. He took a visit to Michigan, which That's not something that Kenny Dillingham appreciates. If you're going to commit, then you're giving your word. He's still doing his thing. Do you? But, that's just not going to be something that runs at Arizona State. So they parted ways, and they still added 2 more 4-stars, and they are as highly ranked as they would have been with Israel Briggs on this team. And that just sends more of a message, too, to these recruits of like, hey, there's something going on here. I want to be a part of it, but I got to be all in, all committed to it if I'm going to be a part of it, because these guys will be able to walk and move on and stuff like that. But if you're in, then you're in. And you're seeing the results of that recruiting class. They continue to get better and better, and they're not done getting better. We sat down here not long ago, Spencer, and you said you could see a top 10 recruiting class. I said top 30 safely, top 25 safely. I would love to see top 20, top 15. They're trending towards top 10, and that's crazy.
Do you think that's realistically possible? And I also want your thoughts on what you just mentioned, where Dillingham is hey, when you commit here, you don't take visits elsewhere. That's a unique approach. Players that are committed take visits all the time at a lot of high major schools. Is that something that you think could hold Arizona State back at any point in time?
I think it's something that did out the gate, because when you want to establish that culture as a team that's coming off a 3-win season, I don't know if you really have that pull. And then you do it again after another 3-win season, and it's like, I feel like I may have better options elsewhere. I don't want to feel like I can't continue looking at options. But yet, what Dillingham is trying to put out there is not so much like a jealous approach that some people may see it. It's an approach of like, hey, you are 16, 17, 18-year-old, and you are looking to take that next step towards being an adult and everything. And part of being an adult is giving your word and sticking by your word and stuff like that. It's a very old-fashioned approach. But we've also talked about how Kenny Dillingham is much older and beyond his years than a 35-year-old. By the way, birthday was on April 28th. What a great day for him. Happy birthday. Here's a 4-star receiver. It's an interesting approach, and it's one that has bit ASU in the butt the first couple of years, because they've had guys decommit, and they've had guys who were supposed to commit that didn't commit. But now you're seeing that, yeah, you're still losing some guys, but there's a reason they keep coming in anyways. They're buying into what this program is putting out right now.
Talk about that 4-star receiver that Arizona State got on Kenny Dillingham's birthday, who I've heard people discuss the idea that Kenny Dillingham is the best-looking coach in all of college football, Richie. I've just heard it get thrown out there. Certainly not by me, who he bears a striking resemblance to.
I've never very similar to him.
I've never suggested that, dude. You should see a side-by-side of the two
you
of
and
us.
Sid
Of the
from
two.
Toy Story?
You suck. You're great.
All
and
right,
I love you, but
six.
Yeah, but that was indeed a pick six. No, when we've got the same hair length, there's a striking similarity. So anyway, I don't throw out those notions about Dillingham being the sharpest dressed guy in the country. That's other people that I hear. But talk about the receiver that Arizona State did just land to help bolster this class up to number 13 in the country.
Yeah, so Nayland Scott is the one who just committed to ASU. He's a kid out of Georgia. I typically like getting kids that are in the heart of the South and in that SEC range, and he had a lot of teams that or programs rather, that were going after him. Some of the ones you mentioned were Nebraska and I don't know,
Florida.
Florida, thank you. 34 offers here from 24/7 is what's being presented here. And he's choosing to come to Arizona State. And it feels like Arizona State has been a heavy favorite for him for a while. In fact, when he was visiting, that was one of the kids that I was like almost willing to guarantee was going to commit to Arizona State by the time that he left Tempe. And lo and behold, that's what they have. And now you look at the potential future of the wide receiver position for ASU, and Jordan Tyson might be trending towards the first round of the 2026 draft if he's able to string together another season like what he just did. He'll be one of the heavyweight favorites for the Bolitnikoff Award. There's an opportunity for him to go pro. And there's some other veterans who will be out of eligibility, and there's some guys who also may see some pro opportunities. So Nayland Scott will be able to come to Arizona State and fight for an opportunity to be the number one receiver on the depth chart. And that's a massive opportunity for any true freshman. And I mean, he's got a right to it if he's able to prove himself. Now, Jordan Tyson can come back another year, so you're not guaranteed that. But he may be looking at a situation where he could be the guy. And with Hines Ward coaching you at your skill position and Marcus Arroyo and Kenny Dillingham there, it's an easy place to fall in love.